Ask the Messengers TV show is a TV show that educates, informs, and entertains our viewers on public health issues such as mental illness, suicide, addiction, illness and disease, COVID-19 relief, crime, domestic violence, homelessness, human trafficking, employment opportunities, healthcare, and more. And now, Ask the Messengers.
Merry Christmas, and thank you for tuning into our show today. As we celebrate the reason for the season, let's take a moment of silence to remember our loved ones who are no longer here to share, to smile, to tell those corny jokes, or to cook your favorite dish. Please stop throughout your day and say a prayer for someone who does not have, who is still suffering, or lying sick in a hospital bed. Today, many of us will have a great time with family and friends, and there are many who will not because of some of the decisions that they have made in their lives. In this episode, we bring you stories of hope from some real people who share their real stories about that once upon a time. Just remember, it's through your mess that you get your message. And it's through the test that gives you a testimony. Ask the Messengers begins now.
What was your drug of choice?
Heroin.
And how old were you when you first started using?
Well, my drug addiction started 14 years ago. Heroin was the past 6 years. So it was a lifestyle.
What was your drug of choice?
My drug of choice was heroin.
And how old were you when you first started using?
22.
I was a multi-substance user, mostly crack cocaine.
Okay, when you say multi, tell the people what you mean.
Like, I was a heroin addict, an alcoholic, and a crack addict with cocaine.
What was your drug of choice?
Heroin.
And how long did you use?
I used for 20 to 30 years.
What was your drug of choice?
Heroin.
And how old were you when you first picked up?
I would say about 21.
What was your worst day of using like?
I actually OD'd. I went to the hospital and I almost died.
Worst day using robbing people, sticking people up, just to be able to afford my habit.
What was your worst day of using like?
Like sickening. I was the sickest person that I could ever thought I could be that sick in my life.
My worst day using was when I went to prison for 12 years.
My worst day of using was when one of my friends came with me to use and she overdosed and died in my car.
And how did that make you feel?
It made me feel terrible. It made me kind of question God, like why did I wake up and she didn't? Why couldn't I bring her back to life? Because I tried CPR, 911, and she didn't wake up.
What was your worst day of using like?
What was my worst day? It's when I gave up my family for a drug.
So if you could say something to help save somebody out there, what would you tell them?
I would tell them that you still can enjoy life. You still can have everything that you want to have in life. You don't have to sell drugs to have the gym shoes that Bobby has on. You don't have to smoke a joint. You don't have to toot something. You don't have to shoot. You don't have to get high to have a nice time and to be a productive part of society. You don't have to do that.
It's not even worth it to try it because once you get hooked in that cycle, you're working to give your money away.
If you could say something to save somebody, look into that camera and say it.
Oh, please, don't even think about even making that choice to even be curious enough to even start using.
Man, it's not worth it. There's a counselor, there's somebody willing to listen, to hear you out. You don't have to dig into drugs because it's going to kill you in the long run.
That you don't have to be cool by using drugs. You don't got to prove nothing to nobody. All those drugs will do is destroy your life. Please do not use drugs.
You're working to not be sick. After a while, you're not high anymore. I mean, it just comes to a point where it's not fun, and you're doing it just so you feel normal like you do right now.
Okay, if you could say something to help save somebody out there today, what would you tell that person?
I would tell that person that no matter what your drug of choice is, you can still get your life back together and function without a substance. It's just the wake-up call. It's that when you're fed up, when you get enough of it.
I know you feel like you're alone out here, but that's not true. If you could look around right now, this is a banquet of recovery, and there's a whole bunch of people that are out here trying to help you.
I would tell them it's a dead-end street and that there's no reason to go and pick up. There's other ways out. Reach out, ask your parents, ask your counselor at school, but do anything but pick up, because the only thing is jails, institutions, and death.
A drug addict turned millionaire is sharing his story to inspire others. Khalil Rafati was a homeless heroin addict. He turned his life around and began a popular Los Angeles juice chain. His unlikely journey is documented in his book, I Forgot to Die. Maria Villarreal shows us how it's a constant reminder of his troubled past.
One day I woke up and this was my life, and I couldn't get out.
On the streets of LA's notorious Skid Row, the smell of crack and heroin and human waste hangs in the air. For 47-year-old Khalil Rafati, it brings back old memories.
That triggers me a little bit, seeing a syringe.
I wouldn't have even noticed that, but you picked that up in an instant.
Yeah, because that's what I used every 15 minutes.
Rafati grew up in Ohio. He escaped a childhood scarred by physical and sexual abuse by moving to Los Angeles. But there was no escaping his demons. Rafati started using and selling drugs. That led to a felony drug conviction and later his descent into heroin addiction and homelessness.
This is the last house on the block. I had nowhere else to go. This is where I could get drugs and I could panhandle. It's like being hijacked. You have to have drugs.
More than once, Rafati ended up in the Los Angeles County Jail.
So you actually haven't been back here since
the
you were
first
released
time.
from jail.
Yeah. Now that gave me a shudder.
Yeah?
That inside there is way worse than where we just were.
How bad were the withdrawals in there?
The worst ever. On a cold cement floor. Just, horrible.
Rafati has been sober for 13 years now, but admits he still thinks about getting high sometimes. What stops him, he says, is the life he has now.
That's as California as you can get.
A thriving business he built with his partner, Haley Gorsey, and the roughly 200 employees that depend on him.
Smile.
Sun Life Organics has 6 locations in Los Angeles.
Trust God, clean house, help others, right?
His flagship shop in Malibu, with its loyal celebrity clientele, sells superfood smoothies and a healthy lifestyle that Rafati credits with saving his life.
Yeah, hibiscus, orange, alkaline water, and raw honey.
It's a long way from Skid Row.
What was the point where you were like, no, this really is the end. I'm stopping.
The seizures, the abscesses, my teeth were literally rotting out of my head. So just the physical condition that I was in really drove me to kind of have the realization that like my time is pretty much up if I don't make a change.
After finally getting clean, Rafati started working odd jobs, doing yard work and cleaning houses. That led to steady jobs, then investments, and eventually a successful business venture focused on, of all things, wellness.
What's up, buddy? How was the run?
Great.
Yeah. When I completely fell apart was when I wasn't working. I gotta work.
Rafati says he got a second chance at life, but his past remains very much a part of his present.
The addict in me is what I bring to this operation. This relentless pursuit of greatness and pure, authentic self-expression. That's what it's all about. So what I bring to the table is being nuts.
Could you say that this has become your new drug?
This isn't just my new drug. This is my antidepressant, and it's the greatest antidepressant I've ever tried, and I've tried them all.
What is that advice that you give to maybe not just recovering addicts, but also people out there who have the dream that you had of owning a business?
Never, ever, ever give up.
When I was using I thought I was different because I worked. And so I thought that maybe.
Stay tuned for more of Ask the Messengers.
This is Lauren Harper wishing happy anniversary to Ask the Messenger TV show. Ask the Messengers celebrates 6 years of being on TV. The show airs every Sunday at 8 a.m. on TV 20. Bring you love, happy, bring you hope, anniversary. Teaching my brother and my sister how to love one another. Bring you love, happy, bring you hope, anniversary.
When I was using it I thought I was different because I worked. And so I thought that maybe because I worked, I was different than everybody else since I didn't hit the bottom. But I did everything that I could, and I always wanted somebody around me, you know, when I was using, I was always treating everybody.
So what was your bottom? What got you to the point where you said, look, enough is enough, I'm going to get some help?
Well, I was pregnant. I was 5 months pregnant. And I remember being out for like 2 weeks and had no place to go, living from somebody else's dope house to the next dope house, just trying to survive. And I remember somebody asking me, or a guy asking me to trick with him. And he was kind of heavy set. And it was just, I didn't want to do that. I didn't want him hurting me or my baby. And I felt like by him being overweight, that's what he was going to do. So I was tired. And I just didn't want to live that life no more. You know, because when you pick up, you know, when you use, you lose. You know, and I would say, you know, just keep trying to go through whatever it is that you're going through without the use of drugs or any minor mood-altering chemicals.
I'm Mike D.
And what's your clean date?
My clean date is November 16th, 2019.
And what was your drug of choice?
Marijuana, ecstasy, and PCP.
And how old were you when you first picked up?
9.
How were you able to get a hold to it at such a young age?
My cousin, he was smoking weed, and I just followed him everywhere, and it just second nature.
And how long did you use?
Up until November 16th, 2019.
What was your bottom? What made you stop? What made you say, look, enough is enough, I'm done?
When I seen a downward spiral. And a spiritual awakening, in a sense. My cousin died, so it made me come back and submit. You know, I had to be beaten into submission. What I mean by that is, I got a problem with surrendering and admitting that I'm powerless over anything outside of myself. I got a lot of self-control issues, and like I struggle with God as well. So it's like that kind of like paradox situation. Like I think that I got a handle on it when I really don't. So God had to show me that I ain't God, in a sense.
So how has it been since you've been in recovery?
It's been a real change, real life-changing experience. It's really been like rekindling lost relationships. Like the sister I grew like that had me going through so much emotional turmoil. Like we got the strongest relationship now today due to my recovery. Please do not do it. Like it's nothing in this world that I would ever give to go back to that downward journey, the death, the chaos, the confusion. Like you might think it feel good, you might think your friends and your quote unquote homies love you, but at the end of the road, it's a downhill journey. And prison is real, death is real. Drugs can get you both, just from one bad decision.
If someone could come Monday morning after I was done sweating, being very sick, experiencing things like restless leg, and just think of your worst nausea, your worst diarrhea, and you'd experience that, you'd know it's coming and you'd prepare for it. So the 7-month taper was really like a marathon in the sense that the sickness didn't go away. I truly understood why people stopped tapering and went back to the regular medication, because it was a lot easier. Once we got to 0, I should feel great, everything should be normal. It wasn't that way at all. Things were still very, very exaggerated, It took me about 9 months from the point of zero to feel totally normal. It didn't happen quick enough, and an example my psychologist explained to me was, she said, "Kirk, during your medication, you were wrapped up in a blanket. You were protected by this barrier of medication from both pain and all your other emotions. That's the way you're going to continue to feel as the medication exits your body. And for many, many other reasons, I can't explain to you how long it's going to take for you to feel normal again." But in my case, it took 9 months, when in fact we were hoping everything was going to be back to normal at the point of zero. And it's very satisfying for me to tell people about my experience, about what worked for me. I mean, I'm not a scientist, I'm not a doctor, but I'm a guy that did it. I'm a guy that got to zero.
We'll be right back with more of Ask the Messengers.
Would you like to help us save lives? You can do so by partnering with us here at Ask the Messengers by making a donation of any amount. The people in your communities need your support. Help us extend our reach and impact more lives. Supporting our organization is as easy as a click of a button. Just visit our site shown on the screen from your phone or computer, where you will see a yellow donation button. Ask the Messengers is waiting on your partnership, and your community is waiting on you.
Always don't give up, and even if there's a slip, get back on the horse.
Adam Jablin, an addiction and recovery expert, says the holiday season can be quite stressful, especially if you're spending time with family.
We have to realize they push our buttons the most, because not on purpose, because they're the ones that installed them. That's why they push them the most.
So while visiting family members, if you begin to feel overwhelmed, Jablin says take care of yourself by walking away to collect your thoughts.
I actually will excuse myself and go to the bathroom. Okay? It's just my own thing, and I'll splash some water on my face, calm myself down.
Even taking a walk around the neighborhood can give you time to take deep breaths and reset. Jablin also urges you not to stay with family if you can afford it, because that healthy separation allows you to have an exit plan.
If everyone else in the family is getting carried away, say you have to go and excuse yourself. So there's power in taking care of yourself and having your own car keys there.
And for those in recovery, the stretch from Thanksgiving to Christmas to New Year's is often referred to as the Bermuda Triangle of addiction, where drugs, alcohol, and family issues can intermingle in the perfect storm. And just like ships and planes mysteriously vanish in the Atlantic Ocean, the holiday season is often when addicts and alcoholics disappear from AA and NA meetings. So Jablin recommends staying committed to your recovery every single day.
So what I do is I really double down on emotional well-being, spiritual well-being, and physical well-being.
And if you don't have anyone traveling with you on your visit, ask a friend to be your check-in.
I'm asking you to be there for me and don't judge me. I may have to vent, I may have to cry, I may have to yell, but I need somebody. It's so essential.
But for those struggling with an addiction or a mental health issue, Jablin begs you not to put off getting help.
Sometimes all of us need a timeout. A timeout where they can really focus on themselves. 28 to 30 days is a blip on the radar compared to the rest of your life.
Okay, and if you could say something to save a little kid out there that's maybe thinking about using, what would you say to that kid?
We got this need, we got this dying, deserving need to fit in. Don't worry about fitting in, just be yourself. As soon as I laid back and I just decided to just be me and stand for just what I stand for and not follow the crowd, it's worked out well for me. Don't follow the crowd, don't just do things. It's called peer pressure, you know what I mean? Don't try to blend in with the crowd, you just be you, just do you.
There's something about sharing your story with other people that gives them a sense of hope, that they're not alone. To be in a group with other people who are going through the same thing just makes it so much easier.
Well, that concludes this week's episode of Ask the Messengers. We also invite you to follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Also, if you would like to support our show, please feel free to make a donation of any amount by visiting our show website, www.askthemessengers.org. If you prefer to mail donations, please make your check or money orders payable to Ask the Messengers TV show and send to 18400 Schaefer Highway, Detroit, Michigan 48235. Ask the Messengers is a program that deals with things that help you. Thank you for watching.